You have already felt a strange buzzing in the ear that appears out of nowhere and seems to seize your attention. It has no clear medical explanation, nor an apparent reason. It arises when everything is quiet, as if it wants to say something. If this has ever happened to you, listen carefully, because this sound may be more than a nuisance. It may be a call. Many ignore this kind of signal. They think it is just fatigue, stress, or a bodily reaction. But those who carry spiritual sensitivity know the buzzing does not come for nothing. It interrupts the silence at the exact moment. And for the chosen, this is much more than a coincidence. It is a spiritual frequency trying to touch your interior. This video is for you who feel things you cannot explain, who notices details that others do not notice. The buzz may be preparing you, warning you, or even confirming something that God wants to show you. And those who do not learn to discern these sounds may end up ignoring important messages for their spiritual journey. Today we will dive deep into what this buzz represents. Each part of the video will reveal a different aspect, from alerts and confirmations to moments of recollection and spiritual elevation. If you have heard this sound, you need to understand what it is trying to say to your spirit. Because the truth is simple. The chosen hear differently. I am George, and if this introduction has spoken to you, take this moment to follow the channel. No fluff. Here, the content is direct, spiritual, and made for those who want to grow. Watch to the end and tell me in the comments what you have already lived. This sound may be what you were waiting for to take the next step. Let's go together. You are reading, driving, or simply in silence, and suddenly that strange buzzing invades the moment. A sharp, almost sudden sound that seems to pause time for a second. For many, it goes unnoticed. But those who are spiritually sensitive know that this may be a subtle touch from the spiritual, asking for your attention. It doesn't happen in the middle of confusion or distraction. It happens in silence, that moment when the mind relaxes and the spirit awakens. It's in this small interval of calm that a frequency crosses the barrier of the rationale and touches the soul. It is not just any sound. It is soft, yet firm. Simple, but with weight. It's as if it says, stop. Listen. This buzzing can come as a herald. Something is about to happen. It could be an important decision, a revelation, or even a deliverance. And the sound arises as an anticipatory signal, as if heaven were saying, pay attention. The curious thing is how it appears at the right moment, as if it were waiting for an inner breach to manifest. Nothing is by chance. Most people ignore it. But the chosen feel it differently, because their sensitivity has been tuned to catch what the world does not see or hear. And when this sound arrives, the best attitude is to stop. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and ask your spirit, what do I need to perceive now? Perhaps the answer will not come in words, but it will come in peace, in direction, or in a clear sensation in the heart. This kind of experience carries a deep spiritual value. It goes beyond logic. It is a form of divine communication that does not use sentences, but frequencies. The sound activates, alerts, guides, and if you can listen with the soul, you can turn that moment into a time of alignment with heaven. This is the calling that few hear, and even fewer obey. Some have a kind of spiritual antenna. They feel energies, discern atmospheres, and you, who perceive this buzzing, live this. The sound isn't just an inconvenience, it's communication, a discrete spiritual frequency that speaks of a connection beyond what is seen, without logic, but with depth. When this buzzing appears, perhaps bringing restlessness or, at other times, a deep peace. Treat it as a confirmation. You are tuned to something greater. Sometimes it means you're on the right track. At other times, it warns, reconsider. But almost always it means you are aligned. You've experienced something like this, haven't you? The buzzing comes when it's most needed. A spiritual impulse in an instant without warning. The frequency awakens your interior. And this channel, silent but real, serves as a tool of heaven, guiding you with gentleness and truth. Some people have been designed to perceive what others ignore. It's not a visible gift, nor a learned skill. It is a spiritual sensitivity that was born with them. The chosen carry this trait. They are more attentive, more connected, and more affected by what cannot be seen with the eyes. The buzzing that arises out of nowhere is one of the most common signs for this type of person. It does not come by chance. It appears when there is something spiritual happening around or inside you. It is a subtle alert that the environment has changed, or that a message is trying to be delivered discreetly. Those who carry this sensitivity notice that some things do not make rational sense, but they do make sense in the heart. It's like feeling that there is something in the air, even without knowing how to explain. This feeling without understanding is part of the mission of the chosen. They were not called to live only in the natural, but to see in the invisible. The buzzing can arise during a conversation, while you pray, or even in seemingly ordinary moments. But if it appears in the middle of a deep thought or a time of doubt, perhaps it is bringing an answer. Instead of ignoring it, the ideal is to stop and ask the Spirit, "What is this trying to show me?" Some feel this buzzing as discomfort, others as a sign of peace. But almost always, it carries something that needs to be noticed. It may be a confirmation, a protection, or a direction. What changes is the sensitivity of the one who is listening. The closer you get to God, the more you begin to decipher the sound. This type of communication requires maturity. It's easy to dismiss it as mere noise. But the chosen learn to listen beyond the natural. They learn to perceive when heaven is speaking delicately. And they understand that not every revelation comes in a loud voice. Some come in codes. The buzzing is one of them. Being spiritually sensitive is not a burden. It is a privilege. But it requires responsibility. It requires inner silence. It requires prayer. Because the more noise there is inside you, the less space there is to grasp the sound that truly matters. Sometimes the buzzing is just the beginning. It prepares your mind for something that will be revealed later. Have you noticed how this sound appears in spiritually decisive moments? It can be before making a decision, during an important conversation, or even when thinking of someone. It's as if heaven says, "Pay attention here. This is part of your sensitivity." It's God using the sound to draw the spirit into awareness. The chosen do not live by appearances. They live by conviction. And many convictions begin with small signals. The buzzing is one of them. It has no clear medical explanation, but it has a direct spiritual impact. It isn't something you control, but something you interpret. And you are learning to interpret. If you feel this kind of sound frequently, don't think it's madness. It's not exaggeration. It's not just sensitive hearing. It's elevated perception. It's a sign that your soul is awake. And if it's awake, it's because something new is being activated. Feel, pray, respond, and keep listening with attention. There are moments when heaven needs to warn you, but not with words. The warning comes in the form of a sensation. a presence, a sound. And among the most discreet and effective signals is the buzzing. A sharp, short, or prolonged sound that arises as a silent alert for those whose spirit is awake. This sound can appear seconds before something uncomfortable happens, sometimes before a difficult call, before a confrontation, or even in the middle of a conversation with someone who seems harmless. But the buzzing rises, and something inside you lights up, as if to say, "Be careful. Observe, reflect before continuing." The chosen are more sensitive to this type of alert because they do not operate only by logic. They sense when the atmosphere changes. They feel the weight that no one comments on. And the buzzing is one of those subtle touches that confirms something needs to be discerned quickly. Do not ignore this call. The buzzing in these moments acts as an invisible shield. It is heaven protecting you from situations your eyes have not yet fully seen. It arises to slow impulses, avert risks, or prevent decisions that would later carry weight. The sound comes before the fall to prevent the stumble. That is why, when this sound arrives, the first action should be prayer. Even if you do not immediately understand what is happening, pray. Speak to God. Ask for discernment. Ask for light. Because often, the answer is not in what happens outside, but in what the Spirit reveals to you inside. This type of alert can also arise in charged environments. You enter a place. Everything seems normal, but a buzzing appears, as if the space were out of harmony. In these moments, the body and the spirit feel before the mind can understand. Pay attention to the sound. It wants to protect you. It's not about fear. It's about vigilance. The buzzing is a code, a spiritual password that activates your attention to what truly matters. The danger is not always evident. Sometimes it is disguised as an opportunity, and it is at that moment that the sound signals. This isn't for you, or not now. When you respond to the sound with prayer, something changes. Clarity comes, the peace returns, direction adjusts, and even if nothing changes externally, you feel internally that you are protected. That is the effect of the spiritual alert. It not only frees you, it repositions you. The Bible shows us that the Holy Spirit acts as counselor, comforter, but also as one who alerts, and he can use any form for this, including a buzzing. When you understand this, you begin to respect these moments more. They are not coincidences, they are spiritual covering. If you feel this sound during the day, in some strange situation or beside people who cause discomfort, stop. Quiet yourself inside. Talk to God. Do not go on autopilot. The sound came because something needs to be seen with the spirit, not with the eyes. Trust this protection system. Sometimes the buzzing does not arrive to alert. It appears as a hug from heaven. A silent confirmation that you are going in the right direction. And the most beautiful thing is that this happens precisely when you are in doubt, reflecting, pondering something that moves your faith. You think about making a decision, you assess the paths, you pray in silence, and then the sound arises, not as an annoyance, but as a light presence, a sign that does not require effort to understand, just feel. It's as if God said, "Yes, continue, I am with you." And this is stronger than any verbal answer. The buzzing as confirmation is different. It does not carry weight. It does not come with urgency. It brings peace, a sense that, even without all the answers, you are aligned with what you are called to do. The chosen feel this intensely because they have learned to listen with the heart. This sound can also appear in the middle of prayer. In the moment you surrender something important to God, it appears as a response. You do not hear a voice, but you feel that you have been heard, that something has been received in heaven. And the buzzing seals this surrender as a divine Amen. In Hebrews 11:1, it is written that faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. And this buzzing is one of those invisible proofs. It is the spiritual manifestation of the confirmation heaven sends to those seeking true direction. It is faith in the form of sound. The confirmation will not always be logical. It comes with presence, with inner alignment, with a signal that only your spirit can decipher. And when the buzzing comes accompanied by lightness, receive it. Walk. You do not need to understand everything. You only need to continue, knowing that heaven is guiding you. The chosen live by convictions, not external guarantees. And for that reason, every spiritual sign that confirms a path has immense value. It is as if heaven were saying, continue even without seeing. I am already ahead. The sound confirms what the heart has already begun to believe. You can feel this even while helping someone, starting a project or resuming a mission that seemed lost. The buzzing appears and fills the environment with an inexplicable peace. This is heaven responding. That's it. And that is enough for the chosen to proceed. When you hear this sound with peace, give thanks, praise, move forward. Do not question the sign just because it did not come in the form of a word. God speaks in many ways, and the buzzing may be one of them. And when it speaks like this, it is because it is near, paying attention, caring. If the sound came at the exact moment, receive it as a spiritual gift. Do not underestimate. This type of response is worth more than any human certainty, because it comes directly from the source. And if heaven is saying yes, it is time to walk with confidence. Not every spiritual buzzing is a call to act. Sometimes it is an invitation to stop, withdraw, silence. When everything outside is loud, God calls you to the inside. The buzzing arises as a sacred pause, a code from heaven saying, disconnect from the world, reconnect with me. This pause is not weakness, it is direction. Many chosen people live immersed in tasks, obligations, and responsibilities that drain the soul. When the spirit begins to move away from the center, the body responds. The sound in the ear appears as a reminder that you need to return. It is as if heaven were knocking at the door of your inner self, and only those who listen with the heart understand the message. Withdrawal is not escape. It is spiritual strategy. God knows how much your soul needs to be replenished to continue. When you hear the buzzing, you do not need to panic. You only need to pay attention. Sometimes he will not speak with an audible voice, but will whisper through a subtle sound, almost imperceptible but charged with purpose. In 1 Kings 19, God manifests to Elijah not in the fire, nor in the earthquake, nor in the strong wind, but in a gentle whisper. This whisper is the language of heaven for those who are sensitive. The buzzing may be this modern whisper. It does not shout. It calls. It guides without demanding. And when you respond, the spirit aligns again. This connection requires surrender. When everything around is chaotic and the sound appears, stop. Close your eyes. Breathe. Let the buzzing lead you inward. There, where no distraction reaches. There, where only you and God meet. Because it is in this space of silence that the greatest revelations happen. Not in voices, but in the emptiness filled with presence. Spiritual retreat is a place of healing, a place where the body rests and the soul listens. Chosen one, when this sound arises in the midst of the rush, accept the invitation. Maybe you don't need to do more, but to feel more, to hear more, to be more. In silence, there are answers that noise will never give. The buzzing does not request action. It invites a holy rest. The buzzing in the ear may be the reflection of something deep, the growth of your spirit. As you progress on the spiritual journey, your frequency changes. Your energy rises. This is not theory, it is experience. It is as if your soul begins to tune to higher channels. And the buzzing appears as the mark of this transition. When the spirit rises, the body feels it. You become more sensitive to the invisible, to people, to places. Things that were normal before now bother you. What was tolerable before is now intolerable. This is not drama, it is discernment. And the sharp sound that appears in your ear may be the sign that something within you no longer fits in the same space. This process can cause discomfort, fatigue with no cause, insomnia, a desire to isolate yourself, not because you are unwell, but because you are changing. Your soul is changing stations, like a radio being tuned. And the buzzing is the noise between one frequency and another, a sacred noise that tells you what served before no longer serves now. During these transition phases, heaven uses the sound as a reminder that you are evolving. God is pulling you closer, calling you to higher levels of perception. And those who hear this sound, generally, are those who have been set apart for something greater. It is those who no longer fit into everything. It is those who were designed to soar higher. The buzzing also serves to align you with new purposes. Things you used to do out of obligation now begin to lose meaning. And that which you used to avoid begins to call you. It is the inner change happening. The sound did not come by chance. It marks the exact moment your soul is being shaped for the new. Chosen one, when this sound appears frequently, welcome it. Do not be startled. Tune in with it. Pray. Ask, Lord, what is your spirit adjusting within me? This question may not have an immediate answer, but it opens space for God to speak with depth. The sound is not an end. It is a door. It is a sign that your frequency is rising. If you feel you are no longer the same person as before, and this sound keeps appearing, celebrate. You are growing. You are being transformed. And heaven is marking each stage with care. The buzzing is the sound of the invisible saying, you are ready for the next level. Listen, feel, trust, and move forward. Not everyone perceives what you perceive. Not everyone hears what you hear. And this does not make you strange. It makes you called. The chosen carry a sensitivity that goes beyond the ordinary. They catch signals before they become visible. They feel before it happens. The buzzing you listen to is one of those signals. It does not come by chance. When this sound appears, it is not there just to grab your attention. It is activating something inside you. It is as if heaven were saying, remember the mission. The noise of the world tries to distract you, but the buzzing reconnects you. It pulls you back to focus. It says, you have a role, and it is time to fulfill it. This mission is not about great deeds. It is about obedience, about being sensitive to the signs, and willing to respond. The world may laugh at spiritual signs, but those who carry a calling know when God is speaking. And when the sound appears, it is revealing that something needs to be done. It may be a prayer, a decision, a step of faith. Those who hear differently are also the ones who intercede differently. They carry the weight of what many ignore. They feel what others cannot explain. And it is precisely because of this that they need to protect themselves more, pray more, strengthen themselves more. The buzzing is a reminder. You cannot live distracted. You cannot walk as if you do not know what you carry. You were sealed with spiritual sensibility to be a channel, to transmit, not to retain. God did not give you elevated perception for you to hide. He gave it to you because He needs you to be attentive, steadfast, available. There are environments that will only change when you position yourself. There are battles that will only be won when you pray. There are paths that will only open when you speak. The buzzing that many ignore. For the chosen is a sacred language. It is not noise. It is code. A sign from heaven that arrives at the exact moment when the spirit needs to awaken, adjust, advance, or stop. And when you learn to listen with the heart, that sound becomes a clear direction. This sound does not intrude on your routine by chance. It is punctual. It comes when there is something happening in the invisible. It comes when heaven needs your attention, your sensitivity, your response. There are moments when it is a warning. In others, a confirmation. But it is always an invitation for you to align with what God is doing. If you feel this frequently, know that it is not a mind exaggeration. It is an activation of your spirit. Some people have been chosen to perceive more, listen more deeply, discern with more clarity. And if you are among them, your role is to listen, but also to obey. Because listening to heaven is of no use if you do not move forward in faith. Chosen one, the sound is a call, a reminder that there is more, that you cannot live on autopilot, that directions are being released for those who have sensitivity and courage. So the next time the buzzing comes, stop, feel, listen with the Spirit. God is speaking to you. Now tell me, have you felt this sound differently? Has it come at important moments? Comment below with your experience. This can confirm something for others as well. And if this word spoke to you, don't forget to follow the channel. There's always something new for those who choose to listen with the ears of the soul.